stay tuned for updates. Let's begin right here in Ethiopia. Ethiopia's permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, Ambassador 𝐂𝐴𝐫 has been elected first vice chairperson of the 𝐕𝐢𝐜 of the executive community of the UNHCR during the closing session of the 76th meeting in Geneva on October 10, 2025. Ambassador 𝐂𝐴𝐫 was nominated by the African group and seconded by Norway, reflecting board, regional, and international support. The 𝐕𝐢𝐜 chairmanship will be assumed by Ambassador 𝐂𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐨 Atsuyuki of Japan. During the last year, Ambassador 𝐂𝐴𝐫 served as second vice chairperson. Following XCOM tradition, the chairmanship rotates from second vice chair to first vice chair before the assumption of chairmanship to ensure continuity and balanced representation. In their statements, the African group and Norway commended the ambassador's contributions to the success of the 𝐕𝐢𝐜's work in the last year and expressed confidence in his leadership, highlighting his roles in multilateral settings in Geneva, including serving as chair of the UNDRR support group and coordinator of the African ambassadors group on health issues. Ethiopia's key role as one of Africa's largest refugee hosting countries, its strong commitment to protection, inclusion and refugee rights, active participation in regional and international refugee and humanitarian initiatives, its solidarity with displaced communities, and pursuit of durable solutions to forced displacement were also highlighted. The 76th session of the UNHCR Executive Committee, which began on October 6 in Geneva, officially concluded on October 10. Mozambique's Prime Minister Maria Ben-Vida Levi has arrived in the People's Republic of China for a working visit from October 12 to 14 following the invitation from President Xi Jinping. Representing President Daniel Chapo, Levi is attending the Global Leaders Meeting on Women, co-hosted by China and UN Women in Beijing from October 13 to 14, to mark the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. The conference will evaluate progress on global gender equality initiatives and the implementation of related instruments. During her visit, Prime Minister Levi is scheduled to hold discussions with President Xi Jinping and Vice Premier Deng Xuexiang. She will also meet with representatives of Chinese financial institutions and engage with the Mozambican community in China, among other activities. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun announced on October 9 that Global Leaders Meeting on Women will bring together international leaders to advance gender equality discussions in Beijing. Cameroon's electoral body elections, Cameroon, said Friday that over 8 million people have registered to vote in the country's upcoming presidential election. The voters include 3.7 million women and 4.2 million men. ELCAM said in a statement, adding that vote will take place on this Sunday at over 31,000 polling stations nationwide. 12 candidates, including incumbent President Paul Biya, are competing in this election. More than 6.5 million people voted in the country's last presidential election in 2018. In a press conference on Friday, Minister of Territorial Administration Paul Atanga-Niji warned that plans to disturb the poll will not be tolerated and will face the full force of the law.
When European colonial powers arrived in Africa, they took control of the narrative.
Hair was never just aesthetics.
Hair is not just hair. It's memory, it's resistance.
A living archive of identity, status, and belonging.
This is more than a trend. This is a movement.
Amasunzu signified strength, bravery, and coming of age.
We are still here.
These art forms are vital to cultural identity.
POA, the Pulse of Africa.
I would like you to follow POA, the Voice of Africa.
This is the face and the voice of Africa. We want you to watch this all the time.
The Voice of Africa. Stick with it. You will see Africa, how it will change for the better.
Now to business news. Botswana has enforced a new rule requiring mining companies to sell a 24% stake in new concessions to local investors if the government chooses not to buy the stake, its mines ministry said on Friday. The rule was proposed last year as a part of draft legislation, but the government had not said when it would take effect. The Mines and Minerals Act previously gave Botswana government the right to buy a 15% shareholding in any mining concession upon being licensed, with an option for a higher stake in diamond projects. The southern African country is the world's top diamond producer by value and an emerging copper mining hotspot. The Ministry of Minerals and Energy said in a statement that the rule requiring 24% local ownership in mining projects had entered into force on October 1st. As well as increasing local ownership of the country's minerals wealth, the law aims to promote local value-adding activities and ensuring mine companies establish environmental rehabilitation funds. When the Amendment for Mines and Minerals Act was being debated in Parliament, the former mines minister said local investors could buy stakes in concessions with the help of domestic pension funds. We wrap up tonight's news in Morocco, where King Mohammed VI is calling for faster reforms to boost job creation, improve public service, and close the gap between regions. The king made the call in a speech at the opening of the country's parliament. Morocco is a constitutional monarchy where the king sets the major policy direction implemented by the elected government. The king said that there should be no inconsistencies or competition between the country's national flagship projects and social programs. He urged a faster implementation pace and stronger impacts from the next generation of local development programs, which he asked the government to prepare in July. Priority areas include job creation for young people and tangible progress in the education and health sectors, as well as local rehabilitation policies, he said. Next, let's check the current weather forecast. That's all for today's Pulse of Africa. Thank you for joining us.
This is Editorial from Pulse of Africa, the voice and face of Africa.
Beyond the headlines, narrative sovereignty. Why Africa owning its story is the key to a prosperous future. For generations, the narrative of Africa has too often been penned by outside hands, crafting a story of a continent defined by its challenges rather than its triumphs. This persistent, one-dimensional portrayal of poverty, conflict, and disease has done more than just shape global perceptions, it has inflicted tangible economic wounds. Biased narratives are estimated to cost the continent billions annually in inflated borrowing costs and lost investment, creating what's known as an Africa risk premium that hampers development. But a powerful and irreversible shift is underway. Across the continent, a vibrant chorus of voices, from tech hubs and film studios to boardrooms and civil society, is seizing the pen, determined to write a new, authentic chapter for Africa. This act of narrative sovereignty is not just about correcting the record, it is the most critical catalyst for realizing the vision of a prosperous, integrated, and self-reliant continent as laid out in the African Union's Agenda 2063. The journey towards the Africa we want is as much about psychology as it is about policy. The long-standing narrative of Afro-pessimism has been insidiously effective, fostering doubt both externally and internally. It has influenced investment decisions, skewed development aid, and, at times, eroded the self-belief needed to drive ambitious, homegrown solutions. However, a rising tide of Afro-optimism, built on tangible progress and a forward-looking vision, is providing a powerful counter-narrative. This isn't blind optimism, it's a confidence rooted in the reality of a continent on the move. Today, Africa is home to many of the world's fastest growing economies and is a hotbed of innovation, particularly in the fintech sector. This new narrative is being written daily in the success stories of African entrepreneurs who are solving local problems with global ingenuity. These stories of resilience and creativity directly challenge the outdated basket case caricature and demonstrate a continent brimming with potential. The cultural arena has become a powerful front in this narrative revolution. The global explosion of Afrobeats has done more than just top charts, it has exported a vibrant, modern African identity to the world. This cultural renaissance is crucial. It fosters a sense of shared identity and pride within the continent and presents a multifaceted, dynamic Africa to the world, moving far beyond the simplistic and often negative portrayals of the past. Embracing this new narrative is central to achieving the goals of Agenda 2063, which envisions an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa driven by its own citizens. When we tell stories of African doctors leading groundbreaking research, of engineers developing renewable energy solutions, and of young leaders advocating for climate justice, we are not just reporting facts, we are building the future. We are inspiring the next generation of innovators and leaders and showing the world that Africa is not a problem to be solved, but a continent of opportunity and a vital partner in shaping the 21st century. The task now is to amplify these authentic stories. It requires investment in African-led media platforms, support for the creative industries, and a conscious effort from policymakers, educators, and citizens to celebrate and share the continent's successes. For too long, others have held the microphone. Reclaiming our voice, we reclaim our agency. Shaping the African narrative is not a peripheral concern, it is the very foundation upon which a prosperous and self-determined continent will be built. It is about showing the world, and just as importantly, ourselves, the Africa that is, and the Africa that is to come.
This is Editorial from